This is 6 News.
Of course, it's important to remember how this started. We lost a young man, Michael Brown, in heartbreaking and tragic circumstances.
An unarmed teenager dead after he shot multiple times by a police officer in a St. Louis suburb.
Why it is he thought it was appropriate to unleash 8 to 10 bullets on a young man wearing flip-flops.
Questions surrounding the shooting prompt days of outrage, protests, and riots in Ferguson, Missouri.
Now, law enforcement's response to Brown's death and the pushback against protesters in the streets are under a microscope.
If firebombs start getting thrown, properties getting destroyed, shots are being fired, people are being shot at, we have to respond to deadly force.
And tonight, people gather here in Lansing to join others nationwide, calling for an end to the violence.
We keep seeing this. It keeps being excused. It keeps being tolerated, and we cannot permit that anymore.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Greg Adeline.
And I'm Sherry Jones. It has been less than a week now since 18-year-old Michael Brown was shot and killed by a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri.
Police officials there say the shooting happened when the officer confronted Brown and another person. They say there was an altercation when the officer tried to get out of his car and a struggle over the officer's gun.
But a friend of Brown says otherwise. Now, he claims Brown had his hands up when the shots were fired.
It's the differences in those stories that led to demonstrations and riots just like these for the past 4 days. Police have responded to crowds overnight using tear gas and smoke bombs to break them up. Dozens of arrests have been made as police clash with protesters, and it's that response that's now bringing more criticism against law enforcement there.
Earlier today, it was announced that Missouri State Highway Patrol is taking over security in Ferguson. President Obama addressed the situation today, saying both sides need to draw down the violence.
There is never an excuse for violence against police or for those who would use this tragedy as a cover for vandalism or looting. There's also no excuse for police to use excessive force against peaceful protests or to throw protesters in jail for lawfully exercising their First Amendment rights.
Protesters and Brown's family has called for police to release the name of the officer that shot him, but so far that has not happened.
Brown's parents say that they want the officer to take responsibility for that shooting, but that they do not want to see more violence come from their son's death.
I don't want no violence. We don't want no violence.
Because Michael wouldn't want no violence.
And back here in Lansing, nearly 200 people gathered at the state capitol for a national moment of silence to honor Michael Brown and others who died as a result of police force.
Emerald Morrow brings us more from the vigil.
It's a movement that started on social media, and as dozens gather in honor of Michael Brown, their message is clear.
I think all life matters, but I think in our country, unfortunately, the police are not protecting black lives the way they should be. They're treating black folks as second-class citizens. It's not okay.
The racial tensions ignited in Ferguson, Missouri after a black teen was shot by a white officer are being felt across the country and right here in mid-Michigan.
We haven't gotten that far. We're here in 2014, 50 years later, and we're still dealing with the same issues that they were dealing with back in the 1960s. Unfortunately, we like to think that we've come so far and we're so developed, we have a black president, but that's all a facade.
We keep seeing this. It keeps being excused. It keeps being tolerated, and we cannot permit that anymore.
Alicia Hicks put together tonight's vigil against police brutality after learning on social media that other cities would be doing the same.
It actually started on Twitter by a woman by the name of Feminista Jones. She put a call out for cities to organize their own vigils, and I answered that call.
A call that deeply moved those in attendance, especially those with ties to Missouri.
It means a lot for me personally to be from St. Louis and have everyone around the country standing with my city during this particular time.
A time these demonstrators hope will create change that will bring harmony to a country still hurting from wounds created long ago. In Lansing, Emerald Morrow, 6 News.
Organizers of tonight's vigil say they hope their activism will bring about more transparency in law enforcement.
More than 90 other vigils were held across the country tonight. Massive crowds peacefully marched through Times Square in New York tonight. Many of them marched with their hands up, a common sight at demonstrations in Ferguson, to signify what Michael Brown's friend said Brown did before he was shot.
Crowds also assembled in Ferguson this evening near where the shooting happened. United States Attorney General Eric Holder spoke with Michael Brown's family tonight and promised them a full, independent civil rights investigation.
New tonight on 6 News at 11, Lansing police are investigating a shooting that sent one man to the hospital just a few hours ago. Police officials say they were called to an apartment complex on the 3600 block of West Miller Street around 8 o'clock this evening. Authorities say the shooting happened inside the complex, but that they found the shooting victim on the sidewalk outside. The victim was taken to the hospital. Officials say he was shot in the leg and is expected to survive. Police tracking dogs were brought to the scene. There's no word yet on where this investigation stands.
Officials in Jackson say an inmate used a weapon that he made in prison to stab a guard multiple times at the G. Robert Cotton Correctional Facility. Officials say the guard is getting medical attention at a hospital, but he is expected to be released. Department of Corrections spokesperson Russ Marlin says the attack happened Wednesday afternoon. The inmate was sent to a higher security prison. Now, so far, the names of the inmate and the injured guard have not been released. In the meantime, union workers and correctional officers carried a message for Governor Snyder to his office today.
Armed with signs and megaphones, they called for the governor to cancel the state's $145 million contract with Aramark. On Friday, the governor announced $200,000 in new fines for the company, but did not cancel the contract. Close to 50 union workers and officers stood outside the Romney building today, and they say the contract puts officers' safety in jeopardy and risks inmates' health. But our Nick Perot caught up with an inmate today who says conditions weren't any better before Aramark took over.
The potatoes have been cleaner since Aramark's been there. I've had dirt in my food before, and rocks. Well, the MDOC has been doing it for 100 years, and their quality has consistently gone down. So 7 months isn't really much of a test time for anything. It always takes a year or two to get into a groove of things.
The governor's office told us today that they are aware of the ongoing problems throughout the prisons, and they'll continue to work with the Department of Corrections and Aramark to make sure that changes happen. And as concerns over Aramark's employees and handling of food continue, officials from Ohio say they'll be bringing in outside food inspectors to check up on kitchens run by Aramark.
But correctional facilities and officials here in Michigan say they're not planning to follow suit, and now say an investigation into maggots being found at 2 Jackson facilities shows it was not Aramark's fault. Michigan Department of Corrections spokesperson Russ Marlin told our media partners at MLive that the problems with the maggots actually stem from the state's food warehouses. Marlin told them, quote, "Our staff still operate the prison warehouses where the food is shipped and then transported by MDOC staff to kitchens in our correctional facilities. The sanitary issues we experienced were, for the most part, due to rotting food." Well, there is still plenty of pressure on Governor Snyder to end the contract with Aramark. We'll continue to keep you updated on the latest for what happens next.
We have an update for you tonight on big changes happening at Cooley Law School. Yesterday, we told you about the addition of Western Michigan University to the name of the Thomas M. Cooley Law School. And today, we're learning that as that change happens, a portion of the law school's staff will be let go. We reached out to James Robb, the Associate Dean of Student Affairs, about the layoffs, and he tells 6 News that the reduction in staff is happening because there are fewer students enrolling in law schools, and that there will be cuts at all Cooley campuses, not just here in Lansing. Robb says that he doesn't have the exact numbers of how many people are being cut, but says he believes that the changes will ultimately strengthen the school.
Now, from Storm Tracker 6. Weather first. Made possible by your independent auto owners insurance agents, the No Problem people.
It's another clear and cool night across mid-Michigan right now, and as we head through the early morning hours, it's going to be cold with those clear skies. We'll take a live look now from our tower cam. We're looking out toward East Lansing at this time, and just in the distance there you can see the moon coming up over the horizon too. Checking in downtown with our Capitol cam, things are quiet here as well. Temperatures at the 11 o'clock hour, 56 degrees. A little bit of a northwest breeze, just 7 miles per hour, so the winds continue to die down. In fact, as we head through the early morning hours, we may go calm for several hours, so that'll really allow the temperatures to drop. 57 in Jackson, again, a northwest breeze, just 6 miles per hour. We have a couple of systems keeping an eye on. One that is to our east. This is the one that brought all the heavy rain a couple of days ago. It's just pretty much parked now over Quebec province and will gradually drift away from us. The next system coming in from the west, still a ways away, not in any hurry to get here. Why? Because we have an area of high pressure over the Great Lakes right now. This will just drift slowly in a southeasterly direction. It's the core of the cool air too, so this probably will be the coolest night coming up for a while, and then temperatures will moderate a bit. In fact, Precision Cast takes us through the early morning hours. By 8 o'clock, clear skies. So we start the day with lots of sunshine, and right through the day from beginning to end, skies will be sunny. Again, all the adverse weather stays either way to our east or way to the west. So a good looking Friday coming up. In fact, as we go through Friday night into Saturday morning, we will have the clear skies, but again, the core of the cold air will be sliding away. We'll start the day on Saturday with some sunshine. Clouds will increase through the day, a front dropping southward will also increase our chances for seeing a few showers or thunderstorms. But notice, by the end of the day, maybe southwest Michigan, but probably areas just to our north will start to see the thunderstorms drop southward. So it's late in the day that we'll have a chance on Saturday of seeing showers and thunderstorms. This front drifts slowly southward, so overnight, Saturday night into early Sunday morning, a chance of a few of those showers. And then for the day on Sunday, this front should be dropping southward. So during the day on Sunday, most of the active weather will be just to our south. It will be a close call. I still have a chance for some showers for Sunday morning in our forecast. We'll fine tune that as we get closer. Again, we are in the mid to upper 50s across mid-Michigan. It will be a cold night ahead, though, with the clear skies and winds dying down. We'll drop to around 44 degrees, maybe a few patches of ground fog, too, but a really nice start to the day with the sunshine. In fact, I think for Sherry's golf game tomorrow, it will be a chilly start. You'll probably start with a jacket, but you'll lose that later in the day as we'll have temperatures climbing into the 70s. Boy, that's a long, you're going to spend some time at the 19th hole, probably at the turn anyway. And then for, again, the winds will be light tomorrow, not as strong. 76 tomorrow's high temperature. On your 6-day outlook for the day on Saturday, showers or thunderstorms, and that would be late in the day, so most of your Saturday's okay. And for Sunday, those showers in the morning, maybe just our far southern sections, and we'll be topping out in the upper 70s for both days of the weekend. Again, it's a big race weekend too at MIS, and keep your fingers crossed. I think both races, Saturday and Sunday, are going to be okay.
That's fantastic. We've been watching this system move through, and hopefully it would just stay right there perfect. It looks like it's followed through.
Yeah.
Oh, and hit them straight tomorrow.
I was going to say, a good-looking scorecard there. It's like 68 and 76. Not too bad.
That's a good point.
That's just my
shoot
front
for that.
nine.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Coming up next on 6 News at 11, Ford drivers, listen up. The company's recalling more than 8,000 cars that it says could roll away while being parked. We'll tell you if your car is on that list.
Plus, the family of Robin Williams reveals new details into the actor's health leading up to his death. We'll have those stories straight ahead when 6 News at 11 continues.
Well, more than 80,000 Ford cars and SUVs are being called back for a fix tonight.
Now, the company says the problem could increase the risk of crashes on the road or even send your car rolling away without you in it. Issues with a clip in the axle could cause vehicles like the 2012 through 2014 Ford Edge and Lincoln MKX to lose power or roll away if they're parked. The same can be said for the 2013 through 2014 Ford Flex and Lincoln MKT, as well as the Ford Taurus and Lincoln MKS for the same model years. Ford says there have been no reports of any injuries or accidents from the problem. The company will start free repairs by the end of August.
Meanwhile, it's not a recall that's prompting an investigation into another Big Three automaker, but instead it's how many loans the company is giving out. The U.S. Justice Department is looking into the financing arm of General Motors, questioning how it lends money to people looking to buy cars. In the spring, new auto loans in the United States spiked to their highest levels in 8 years. But officials say that's due to a big increase in risky loans. Regulators are concerned over subprime auto loans because they say those risky loans can lead to more defaults.
And in the home of the Big Three, officials closed 2 lanes of I-94 because of pavement buckling near Detroit. It's an issue that they say is likely related to the severe flooding that consumed the city. Officials say 58% of Michigan's pumping stations used to clear water from major roadways are in poor condition. The cost of cleanup the city after 6 inches of historic rainfall is expected to be around $500,000.
Well, still ahead on 6 News at 11, Robin Williams' widow shines new light on the problems the actor faced in the time leading up to him taking his own life. We'll have that story next when 6 News at 11 comes right back.
We are now learning that it wasn't only depression that actor Robin Williams was battling when he took his own life earlier this week.
As Danielle Nottingham reports, Williams' widow says he was facing a disease that he never publicly discussed.
Robin Williams was in the early stages of Parkinson's disease and was sober at the time of his apparent suicide, according to his wife, Susan Schneider. In a statement released Thursday, Schneider called her husband brave as he struggled with his own battles of depression, anxiety, as well as early stages of Parkinson's disease, which he was not ready to share publicly. A personal assistant found the 63-year-old actor and comedian dead Monday morning at his home in Tiburon, California, outside San Francisco. The coroner's office said he died of asphyxia due to hanging. Williams checked into a rehab facility last month, and authorities confirmed he was seeking treatment for depression. Schneider's statement also said, "It is our hope in the wake of Robin's tragic passing that others will find the strength to seek the care and support they need to treat whatever battles they are facing so they may feel less afraid." The coroner's office says the final toxicology report will take a few weeks. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Los Angeles.
All right, well, Audrey's here with sports for Fred this evening, and Fred went to Detroit for the Tigers game. He caught quite a pitching duel, but some bigger news out of the NASCAR world tonight, Audrey.
Yeah, right. We'll talk about the Tigers later in sports, but first there was a major announcement from Tony Stewart this afternoon. It's a big race weekend at Michigan International Speedway, and it doesn't involve Stewart. Plus, we continue our 6 sports two-a-days journey across mid-Michigan. 2 teams in 10 days. Next up, Williamston and Mason. Don't miss it. Up next in sports.
This is 6 Sports.
3-time Cup champion Tony Stewart will not race this Sunday in the Irish Hills at the Pure Michigan 400, which was announced today. Stewart will miss a 2nd straight NASCAR Sprint Cup race, and Jeff Burton will be his replacement this week at Michigan International Speedway, where fans reacted to the news.
I'm disappointed, but I do understand, you know, there's a grieving process he must go through, and well, I support him for it.
I'm a little disappointed, but I feel that he's going to race when he's ready.
Detroit wrapped up its home-and-home 4-game series at Comerica Park in a Thursday matinee, which started on Monday in Pittsburgh. The Pirates swept the first 2 games, but thanks to Max Scherzer, or the guy who is better known as Mad Max, the Tigers collected a 2-game sweep of their own. Uncle Fred was in Motown for the game. Greg Sherry, do you see him in the stands? It was another packed house at Comerica Park. The game was a classic pitchers duel early. Jordy Mercer strikes out swinging to end the top of the 2nd for Scherzer's 6th strikeout in just 2 innings. In the bottom of the 4th, Francisco Liriano would do the same to Torrey Hunter. He strikes out. Liriano struck out 9 and held the Tigers hitless until the bottom of the 5th. J.D. Martinez knocks this ball to deep left field. That's a solo shot, and the Tigers take a 1-0 lead. We turn our attention back to Mad Max, top of the 8th. Swing and a miss for Chris Stewart. Scherzer collects his 14th strikeout, which is a season high, along with 8 shutout innings. The offense stayed alive, bottom of the 8th. Nick Castellanos drives in a pair with a single to center. Sherry, who's your Tiger? And the Tigers take a 5-0 lead. They would hold on for the 2-game sweep, 5-2 the final, and Scherzer picks up his 14th win of the season, the most in the American League. Well, Rob Manfred was elected Major League Baseball's 10th commissioner today and will succeed Bud Selig in January. Manfred received 22 of 30 votes earlier in the day, with former Spartan and Dodger great Steve Garvey in town. Kevin Gale asked Garvey if he had any tips for the league's new commissioner.
I think we're being squeezed by the NFL and the NBA and hockey now. There's so much cable television, so much real estate. I think we have to constantly decide where we're going, and it's really the digital element. Baseball has to be innovative, it has to be creative, and things like instant replay makes it a little more interesting. I don't like the no collision at home plate. We don't want to turn baseball into golf. You know, so I think that you got to be careful that you don't change it too much, but it's a new millennium and you have to make the difference.
We can't forget about the Lansing Lugnuts, who captured a 6-1 victory over the Fort Wayne Tin Caps this evening. 15 days stand in the way of the MSU football team and its season opener against Jacksonville State. 8th-year coach Mark D'Antonio addressed the media this morning before the 14th practice of fall camp, where he announced Saturday's second preseason scrimmage will now be held tomorrow.
We're far ahead of where we were offensively at this time last year. Guys have progressed. I think some guys like Aaron Burbage is having a great camp. Lippett, our quarterbacks are playing very well as well. And on the defensive side of the ball, I think we're growing. We're playing a lot of players, and I think we're playing well up front. I think we got good players up front.
When you talk about your team identity and searching for it, what do you want your identity to be?
Same as it's always been. I want us to be able to play hard, be able to handle tough situations, be grounded in hard work and discipline. I want us to be confident. I want us to be champions.
Well, it's day 4 of high school football practice, and tomorrow marks the first day of full pads around the state and in mid-Michigan. We continue our 6 sports two-a-days with stops at 2 more area high schools. Let's start with the nitty-gritty Bulldogs from Mason, who returned 6 starters on offense and 5 starters on defense for 2014. The Bulldogs are one of several area teams who are still a part of the CAAC conference, but are now in the red division instead of the gold. Jerry Van Havel begins his 24th season as Mason's head coach, where the Bulldogs are big on 3 things:
tradition, conditioning, and toughness. Basically, I mean, we're always trying to be as tough as we can. We always condition as much as we can, and we're always together.
We preach those things in our program. We expect you to be hardworking, and we expect you to be disciplined, to do things the right way. And we want our kids to be hard-nosed and tough. I mean, but saying those things doesn't make those things. You have to go out and you got to do them. It's bringing those things to fruition.
6 Sports Two-A-Days takes place all this week, and next week we're going to 20 schools in 10 days. And our second stop today takes us from the CAAC Red Division to the White. Williamston is ready to start the 2014 season after a 3rd place finish in the CAAC White last year. The Hornets boast a heavy upperclassmen roster who haven't forgot their season-ending pre-district loss to Lake Fenton. A new year brings a new beginning, and for the Hornets, a new mantra.
The kids made it up, and it's no excuses, no fear, no limits. And we're talking about that every day, different aspects of that, and I love the mantra, actually, just that no excuses especially. I don't hear these kids whining. We're going to the line, and they're doing a great job with it.
It basically describes our team and where we want to go, If we work hard, we have no excuses, no fear. Nobody can tell us where we can go, We have no limits.
Tomorrow equals 2 more stops along the Prep Football Two-A-Days Trail. We'll visit Waverly and Grand Ledge. That's tomorrow at 6 and 11. Also, Greg and Sherry, it's hard to believe but true. The start of the high school football season and our first 5th quarter is 2 weeks from tonight. Back to you.
So we said, where did summer go?
I was going to say, cue up, it's the most wonderful time of the year. 5th quarter Fridays on TV6.
I agree.
A Lansing tradition.
There you go.
It sounds like a promo. Jim Niger will be in next with the final check of your forecast. Well, I guess safe to say pretty nice sleeping weather for us.
Comfortably cool. We're down into the mid-40s tomorrow morning. Lots of sun tomorrow, back up to 76, near 80 Saturday. Maybe a late day thunderstorm. Anything moves out early Sunday morning, so the rest of Sunday looks good.
That's right, 30%. We can live with that.
I think so.
We're always on, always free at WLNS.com.